Three-point lighting forms the base of some of the more complicated lighting setups, but it illustrates important lighting concepts that you can use in whatever scene you would like to set up. The main goal of three-point lighting is to get a nice even distribution of light across the subject, avoiding deep shadows, while allowing the subject to pop a bit from the background. To do this, you're going to need 3 lights. The first light that we're going to be talking about is the key light. And much like its name suggests, it's really the key to the whole setup. The key light functions as the main source of illumination in your scene. Traditionally, the best spot for placing your key light is at a 45-degree angle from where your camera is set up. The reason that this light is not placed directly face-on to your subject is because you want to add some definition to the edges of the face and shoulders. While placing the light straight on gives your subject an unflattering deer in the headlights look, similar to if you used a flash on a still camera. Once you have your key light set at the proper angle, you can see how well defined your subject is and how the light tends to wrap around the face. However, you're also seeing severe dark shadows on the opposite side of the face, and the scene itself looks pretty gritty. What we need to do now is to fill in those shadows. And for that, we use the appropriately named fill light. The placement of the fill light is again 45 degrees from the camera, but this time 45 degrees opposite from the key light. You also want to make sure that the fill light is less intense than the key light, so it doesn't compete with it. There are a few ways of doing this. One is to use a lamp or a bulb with less wattage. The other is to move the light further away. The intensity of light is exponential, so by moving the light back just a little, it has a large effect on the intensity of the light. The third way is to use a neutral density gel or diffusion in front of the fill light. As you can see, when both the key light and the fill light are turned on, you get a much more even light around the whole face. The shadows from the key light are still there. The idea is not to get rid of all the shadows, but to soften them greatly, leading them to a pleasing, natural appearance. Now we have an even pleasing light, but the overall result is a bit flat. The subject tends to blend into the background. To get our subject to pop out of the background, we're going to use our third light, known as a backlight. The placement of the backlight is appropriately enough behind our subject, set off to an angle where the light itself is placed above and out of the frame, so the light only spills onto the subject, not into the camera lens. This light should also be a fairly low intensity. The idea behind the backlight is to shine down on the subject and create a rim of light around the shoulders and head. When combined with the other 2 lights, this backlight makes the subject stand out a bit more from the background and focuses your attention where it belongs, on the subject. Let's go over each light and their role in three-point lighting again. First, the key light or main light to illuminate the scene. Second, the fill light to fill in the shadows. And third, the backlight to make our subject stand out from the background. When we combine all 3, you get that pleasant, all-around good lighting that makes a subject look great. Three-point lighting is a fairly simple concept, but once mastered, you can use the knowledge of lighting properties to address any lighting setup you may find yourself needing. Three-point lighting can be used as a good base to set up even your most complicated shots. Understanding how lighting can have an effect on a certain mood or convey an emotion changes how an audience perceives and reacts to your scene. This time we'll be looking at some simple lighting tricks that can help you trigger these emotions. Creating a silhouette is a technique used to add an element of fear and suspense to your scene. Simply grab a backlight and aim it behind your talent, leaving them in the shadows. For this effect to work, make sure that your entire subject is lit well enough from behind that you do not have any bleed through. To recreate a street light, which brings about an element of loneliness and danger, raise the light in between and behind the subjects. Again, make sure to use the barn doors to lead your light in the right direction. Now we have the right mood set for a secret meeting between our two spies. To create a bright, happy mood, make sure that all of your lights stand neutral by bringing in two key lights and raising them to stand just above your subject. Add a backlight behind the subject. You can convey the mood of happiness by making sure that everything is well illuminated and very bright. For two subjects, add two backlights. Don't forget to always lower your f-stop to open up your lens so that the light you do expose your camera to is always available. If you intend to add a frightening mood, light your subject from below and make them look menacing. By holding a flashlight, everything but the head becomes a silhouette, which is great for a scary campfire story. How you light reflects how you shoot, and the more you know about lighting, the more emotion you can convey. Thank you for joining us. If you have any more questions, please be sure to join us online on Videomaker.com. So you want to make a big-time movie, but you're shooting on a budget, a low budget. Well, this time we're going to show you some simple tricks to be able to make your budget look a tad bit bigger by showing you how to light your set without having to spend an arm and a leg. First up on the agenda tonight, the all-important key light. The suitable replacement we found comes in the form of an 1,000-watt work light used for car repairs. They generally run in an affordable price range, and if you buy two, you now have 2,000 watts of power. For a standard studio interview, 500 watts would be plenty as long as you sit your subjects close to the camera. While we're on the topic of the interview, the standard backlight can be replaced by a China lantern, which can be purchased at most big box retail stores. For those of you who feel like you need a bit of a softer lit area, a standard shower curtain can be used to diffuse the light brought in. Just remember to keep the shower curtain at a distance because 1,000 watts burns hot. For those of you who will be filming a majority of your projects outdoors, you will need the assistance of a reflector to help use the sun to your advantage. If you're feeling a bit gloomy on your pocketbooks, try grabbing a cheap fold-up windshield cover and use the back side, which has a silver coating perfect for bouncing light off of. Aluminum foil can also be used as long as your mother doesn't mind you raiding her kitchen. Use a piece of cardboard and make sure to grab big pieces to cover the surface. The cleaner the sheet of foil, the sharper the reflection. By rolling up the foil and adding some ripples, the light is reflected a bit smoother and can actually be used as a fill light. Be sure to pay attention to what type of lights you are using, because different light temperatures have different color tones, which can take us away from our goal of looking like we have a professional lighting kit and adding discoloration to the area we are trying to light. Be sure to have a couple lighting gels on standby in case you run into this problem. Another solution would be to make sure that you match all of your bulbs together. Whether it's halogen or work lights, stay consistent with each one of your selections. So there you have it. If you happen to be working on a project and you find yourself on a shoestring budget, use some of these tips and every shot you film will look that much more professional. Thank you for joining us. If you need any more assistance, there's always Videomaker.com. Until next time.